What is up guys, it's Cal, and in this video we'll be taking a look at the Demonology Warlocks in the Battle for Azeroth beta. We're going to be looking at their baseline abilities and passives, as well as their talents and PvP talents. I'll also be talking about some of the small changes to their summonable demons, and there does seem to be a lot of changes all around to Demonology locks. But just like my other overview videos, this isn't meant to tell you which talents to pick for the best DPS, or if Demonology is better than the other two specs of DPS. This is merely to show you what's to come, and these changes will be going live whenever the pre-patch for BFA comes out, which seems to be either July 10th or July 17th. So what you see in this video is a pretty good representation of what the final product will be, but it is the beta, so things are definitely subject to change. So let's get started. So here are all the baseline abilities for Demonology Warlocks. We have Unending Resolve, which is unchanged. It's a 3-minute cooldown and it reduces all the damage you take by 40%, and you're immune to interrupts and silences for 8 seconds. Health Stones are unchanged. It will still heal you for 25% of your health. They still have 3 charges, all that. Create Soul Well is the same deal. It's still unchanged. Banish is also unchanged. You can banish a demon, an aberration, an elemental, and they can't do anything for 30 seconds, and then you can of course cast Banish on them again, and then the Banish will leave them. Ritual of Summoning is unchanged. Still a 2-minute cooldown. You can bring up a lock closet and summon people to your location. Then there's Soulstone. It's still your battle res, 10-minute cooldown. The only change to Soulstone is it will not cost any mana. You still can battle res a target to 60 health and 20 mana. So its main principle is unchanged. Health Funnel, I guess kind of a slight buff. It will sacrifice 25% of your max health to heal your summoned demon, whereas in live it's 24%, and it heals your demon for twice as much over some amount of seconds. So it's just going from 24 to 25%. Implosion is baseline, so this was a talent, and the effect is actually the same. The only thing changed of it is its picture. So demonic forces suck all your wild imps towards the target and then cause them to violently explode, dealing some shadow flame damage to all enemies within 8 yards. So this was a talent, now it's baseline. Hand of Gul'dan, the only change to this is it will cost 1 to 3 soul shards, whereas in live it's 1 to 4 soul shards, meaning that the only change to it is it will summon up to 3 wild imps depending on how many soul shards you have. Whereas on live, you know, since it's 1 to 4, it will summon up to 4 wild imps. So BFA sums up to 3. Now Demonic Tyrant is new. I really like this one. 1/2 minute cooldown, summons a Demonic Tyrant to increase the duration of all your current demons by 15 seconds and increases the damage of all of your other demons by 15% while damaging your target. So if I use it right now, it will summon him, as you see there, and that is what he looks like. And he just keeps casting out like a firebolt animation on the target over and over again. It's like super fast. It's a cool ability, and it lasts for 15 seconds, right? Yeah, 15 seconds. Now Shadow Fury is baseline because before it was a talent, and the only changes to it is its cooldown is going from 30 seconds up to a minute, although you will be able to reduce that to 45 seconds with a talent, which I'll talk about when I get to the talents. But it stuns targets for 3 seconds in an 8-yard radius, whereas on live it's 4 seconds. So a slight nerf there to the AoE stun, because they're trying to like nerf or get rid of all AoE stuns in BFA, so they decided to nerf this one. Whereas, I mean, Warlocks are lucky in this case because they took away just a bunch of other classes' AoE stuns. Let's see, Demonic Gateway is unchanged. You can still put down a gateway, click on it, and it will shoot you to the other location, and you can only use it once per 1.5 minutes. Unending Breath is unchanged. You can infinitely breathe underwater, and your swim speed is increased by 20% for 10 minutes. Now Shadow Bolt is unchanged, still generates 1 soul shard. You send a shadowy bolt at the enemy, dealing some shadow damage. Now Demon Bolt is new. I mean, there used to be a talent called Demon Bolt, but that talent is completely different than what this does. So it sends the fiery soul of a fallen demon at the enemy, causing some shadow flame damage, and it generates 2 soul shards. Now when I originally read this ability, I thought it was kind of useless because first off, it has no cooldown. As you see there, has no cooldown. So I thought, why would I use Shadow Bolt if I could use Demon Bolt? Because Demon Bolt is essentially like Shadow Bolt times 2. The cast time is twice as much, generates 2 soul shards, whereas Shadow Bolt generates 1 soul shard, and it does twice the damage. So why wouldn't I keep just using this one? Because if it had a cooldown, that would be different. You just use it on cooldown. Well, when I talk about the passive abilities, which I'll get to in a minute, then that will explain when you should use Demon Bolt. So anyways, Call Dreadstalkers is pretty much the same. The only change to it is its cooldown is going from 15 seconds up to 20 seconds. It still summons 2 ferocious Dreadstalkers to attack the target for 12 seconds. And then Drain Life, the only change to Drain Life is it will heal for 500% of the damage done, whereas on live that is 600%. And then Enslave Demon is unchanged. You can still enslave a demon for 5 minutes up to 1 level above you. Fear is unchanged. You can fear a target for 20 seconds and the damage can cancel the effect. Command Demon, I'll talk about this in a second because I'll go more in depth into the demons. You still have each of your demons there. The Felguard's probably the one you're going to use mostly, but he's still there. And then Eye of Kilrog is unchanged. You can summon an Eye of Kilrog and look around areas. So you might notice there are a few abilities that are missing. So Demon Wrath is removed. Summon Doomguard and Summon Infernal are removed. Doom is not removed. It is actually now a talent, which I'll show you when I get to the talents. Demonic Empowerment is removed. So there's that. Now taking a look at these passive abilities. So we have Demonic Core, which is new. What this does is when your wild imps expend all of their energy or are imploded, because you can just implode them baseline now, you have a 10% chance to absorb their life essence, granting you a stack of Demonic Core. Okay. When your summoned Dreadstalkers fade away, you have a 100% chance to absorb their life essence, granting you a stack of Demonic Core. And then Demonic Core reduces the cast time of Demon Bolt by 100%, and that goes up to 4 charges. So that's when you're going to use Demon Bolt. Whenever your imps are imploded or their life is just expended, or if your Dreadstalkers fade away. Then you get stacks of this thing, and then your Demon Bolt, which as I said is like Shadow Bolt times 2. Its cast time is reduced by 100%. So then you can just spam that thing, which is really nice. I really like this ability. And then for your mastery, it has changed because Demonic Empowerment is not a thing anymore. It just now increases the damage of your demons by some percentage. So before this buffed your Demonic Empowerment, but Demonic Empowerment is not a thing anymore. Soul Leech is getting a slight nerf to it, so all single target damage done by you and your minions grant you and your pet shadowy shields that absorb 8% of damage dealt for 15 seconds. On live that is 10%, and then up to 10% of maximum health, which on live that is a base of 15%. And then Soul Link is unchanged. You still have 20% of all damage you take is taken by your demon pet instead, and Soul Leech also heals you for 25% and your pet for 50% of the absorption it grants. On live, well, your artifact weapon can make that go higher, but we won't have artifact weapons anymore. But that 25% and 50% is the baseline of it. And then soul shards are unchanged. You still have soul shards. So now let's take a look at our demon. So I'm going to summon my Felguard here, and you'll see this neat little rift animation. I really like that. Cool rift animation for summoning your demons. So the only change to your Felguard is that your command demon ability is now Axe Toss, which is unchanged. It still stuns the target for 4 seconds. That's unchanged, but this used to be Fellstorm. Your demon still does have Fellstorm. You can have it on auto and it will just Fellstorm. But the command demon ability is just Axe Toss. Now let's go to the Succubus, and you'll see right there, the purple rift summoning the Succubus. Now the only change to Succubus is that the Whiplash is changed. It no longer knocks an enemy back. It will now reduce their movement speed by 50% for 10 seconds. And it can be put on auto. So before this could not be put on auto. And then now Seduction is the command demon ability. It cannot be put on auto, but it is now your command demon ability. Then for the Fell Hunter, where is it? Right there, the purple rift. So Spell Lock, the only change to it, Spell Lock does not cost any energy for your Fell Hunter, which is nice. And Devour Magic cannot be put on auto. It still does the same thing. Purchase 1 beneficial magic effect from an enemy. If the effect is devoured, the Fell Hunter will be healed for some amount and gain 60 Fell energy. It cannot be put on auto. Spell Lock is still the command demon ability. Voidwalker. Let's summon the Void. It was much darker blue tear. So the only change to Voidwalker, let's bring up his passives. So Shadow Shield is now a passive for Voidwalker. This used to be an ability that you activated, and it will encase the Voidwalker in Shadow Energy, reducing physical damage taken by 40%. So the Voidwalker is still, of course, like a more tanky pet. And then the command demon ability is Shadow Bulwark. So this used to be Suffering, which is the taunt. He can still taunt, you know, Suffering's still there. But then Shadow Bulwark is now the command demon ability, which is the same thing. Temporarily increases current and maximum health by 30% for 20 seconds. That's your Voidwalker's health, not your health, but increases your Voidwalker's maximum health by 30%. And then finally, let's summon the Imp. So little void tear right there. And then the only changes to the Imp is that Flee can be put on auto. So as you see, you can right click it, put it on auto, and no longer has Cauterize Master. So Cauterize Master is not a thing anymore. That used to be the Control Demon ability, or Command Demon ability. It is now Singe Magic, which still does the same thing. So it burns harmful spells, removing one harmful magic effect from an ally. And then the other only change to the Imp is that Blood Pact is returning, increases your stamina by 5%. So Warlocks will get Blood Pact again, if you have your Imp out. Now let's take a look at the talents, and I'll also be talking about the PvP talents in case you care about those. Now some of these I did already select just because I was trying them out, because some of them seem really cool. But as far as the talents go, pretty much everything has been changed. There's a lot of changes. So for this first tier, Dread Lash is new. When your Dread Stalkers charge into battle, their Dread Bite attack now hits all enemies within 8 yards and deals 25% more damage, so a nice little AoE thing there. Demonic Strength is new. 1 minute cooldown, infuse your Felguard with Demonic Strength and command it to charge your target and unleash a Fellstorm that will deal 400% increased damage. And then Bile Scourge Bombers is also new. So it is a 30-second cooldown. Tear open a portal to the Nether above the target's location, from which several Bile Scourge will pour out and crash into the ground over 6 seconds. So it's another nice AoE thing, I guess there. So for the level 30 tier, Demonic Calling was moved down a tier, and this no longer affects Demon Wrath because Demon Wrath isn't a thing anymore. It will now affect Demon Bolt, so Shadow Bolt and Demon Bolt have a 20% chance to make your next Call Dread Stalkers cost 1 less Soul Shard, which on live that it has a chance to just cost no Soul Shards, but now it's just 1 less, and have no cast time. So that no cast time thing is new. Then Power Siphon. Power Siphon is new. So a 30-second cooldown instantly sacrifices up to 2 Wild Imps to generate 2 charges of Demonic Core. And then Doom. So the changes to Doom. This was a baseline ability, it is now a talent. Inflicts impending doom upon the target, causing some shadow damage after 30 seconds. So its time has been twice. It used to be around, I think, like 15-ish seconds or so. I think it was dependent on your haste. It doesn't seem like it's dependent on your haste at all now. But it's 30 seconds, and then if Doom kills the targets, there's a 5% chance to summon a Doom Guard to fight for you for 25 seconds. So that's a neat ability there. And then it generates 1 Soul Shard when dealing damage. Now for this level 45 tier. So all these abilities should look familiar to you. They used to all be on the level 75 tier, but they were just all moved up to the 45 tier. So for Demon Skin, I think it has a slight nerf to it. Your Soul Leech Absorption now passively charges at a rate of 0.5% of maximum health. On live, that's 1% every 1 second, and you may now absorb up to 15%. On live, that's 20% of maximum health. Burning Rush is unchanged. You still use it, increases your speed by 50%, but you get hurt by 4% of your health every 1 second. And you cannot be slowed below 100% of normal movement speed. And then Dark Pact did get a nerf to it, so it's a 1 minute cooldown still. Sacrifices 20% of your current health to shield you. It used to be, you know, your demon's health, which now it's just your health, which it does on live if you don't have a demon out. But now it's just strictly your health for 250% of sacrifice health for 20 seconds, whereas on live that's 400%. So it is a smaller shield there, and it's still usable while suffering from control impairing effects. Now this next tier, everything is new. So from the shadows, casting Call Dread Stalker causes the target to take 20% additional shadow damage from you for the next 12 seconds. Soul Strike is new. 10-second cooldown, command your Felguard to strike into the soul of its enemy, dealing some shadow damage, and it does generate 1 Soul Shard. And there's Summon Vile Fiend. So it summons a Vile Fiend to fight for you for the next 15 seconds, and has a 45-second cooldown. And in this next tier, the only change to the level 75 tier is Dark Fury is new because Shadow Fury is baseline, so this just reduces the cooldown of Shadow Fury by 15 seconds, making Shadow Fury a 45-second cooldown. Mortal Coil is not changed at all. 45-second cooldown, you can use it on targets, makes them be feared for 3 seconds, and it heals you for 20% of your maximum health. And then Demonic Circle is unchanged. You can put a Demonic Circle on the ground, use it again, and then teleport to that location. So Soul Conduit was just moved up to this tier, and every Soul Shard you spend has a 15% chance to be refunded, whereas on live that's 20% chance. Inner Demons is new. So you passively summon a Wild Imp to fight for you every 10 seconds, and you have a 10% chance to also summon an additional demon to fight for you for 15 seconds. So that's a neat ability there. I really like that one. And then this Grimoire Felguard. So as you see here, Grimoire of Service is not a thing anymore, but the Grimoire of Service Felguard Edition, I guess you could call it, is a talent. So it has changed from what it is on live. 1/2 minute cooldown, summons a Felguard who attacks the target for 15 seconds, whereas on live I believe that's 25 seconds. That deals 50% increased damage, and this Felguard will immediately stun the target when it's summoned. So it'll use its like axe toss ability. Then for the final tier, Sacrifice Souls is new. So Shadow Bolt and Demon Bolt deal 5% additional damage per demon you have summoned. So I really like that one. Demonic Consumption. So what this says is your Demonic Tyrant now destroys and absorbs the remaining power of all of your wild imps to empower himself. Now, what does that mean exactly? Well, any wild imps that you currently have active when you summon your Demonic Tyrant, they will all be absorbed by your Demonic Tyrant, and for each imp absorbed will increase his damage by 12%. So 12% each imp. So that, in conjunction with Inner Demons, seems really nice. And then there's Nether Portal, which this is an interesting one. It's around a 2-ish second cast time, 3 soul shards, 3-minute cooldown. Tear open a portal to the Twisting Nether for 20 seconds. Every time you spend a soul shards, you will also command demons from the Nether to come out and fight for you. So that does summon things like Wrath Guards and like Vicious Hellhounds to come out of the portal to attack for you. It's a really cool ability. Now let's talk about the PvP talents. If you did not watch my video going over how PvP talents will work, this is how it goes. You have 4 bubbles here. This first bubble is the same for all classes and all specs in the game. It has Gladiator's Medallion, Adaptation, Relentless. You can pick between one of these. They're all in the first tier on live, and they all do the same thing. You can pick between one of them. These next 3 bubbles are a giant pool of your already existing PvP talents. So it's no longer on a tier system, as you can tell. So like 3 you might really like that are on the same tier on live, you can pick them all in BFA. So any of these 3 that you like. Now for the most part, they have not been changed at all. There have been 4 that have like slight changes to them. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to read the names out. If you want to know what they do, you can pause the video because I will be mousing over each of them. But for the 4 that have been slightly changed, I'm going to stop and talk about what the changes are to each of them. So we have Cinch Magic, Call Fellhunter, Pleasure Through Pain, Call Fellord, and what Call Fellord now does is it will now make the target suffer for 5% of their health. Whereas on live it says that it just does like a high amount of damage or something, but now they'll suffer 5% of their health and damage for anyone that comes within 6 yards of it. And then there's Call Observer, Master Summoner, Curse of Fertility, and what this does is it reduces the target's maximum health by up to 15% for 10 seconds on live. That is 20%. So a slight nerf there. And there's Curse of Tongues, Curse of Weakness, Nether Ward. The only change to Nether Ward is it will now shield you for 3 seconds, where it reflects all damage or all harmful spells against you, whereas on live that's 5 seconds. Then there's Essence Drain, and then Casting Circle, which is the last one that has a change to it. Its cooldown has been increased from 30 seconds to 1 minute. It lasts on the ground for 8 seconds, whereas on live it's 10 seconds, and it will now make you completely immune to all silences and interrupts, whereas on live it's like has a 70% chance to make you immune, but now makes you completely immune to them. But the only drawback to it really is that learning this ability, so if you have this ability on your bars and all that, Unending Resolve will no longer grant you its immunity to silences and interrupts. So that's something that's baked into Unending Resolve, but if you pick Casting Circle, Unending Resolve will not have that, because you can use these abilities. Because if you pick this ability and you have War Mode on, that means you've learned this ability as soon as you like leave Stormwind or Orgrimmar, and you can use this ability in PvE instances like doing quests. So they would take that away from Unending Resolve, and Casting Circle would have it. And there you have it, all the changes to Demonology Warlocks that will be coming in Battle for Azeroth. Now, as mentioned at the beginning of this video, these will be coming in patch 8.0.1, which is the pre-patch, so somewhere around like July 10th or 17th, but I'm curious to know what you guys think about these. Me personally, I like most of the changes. It definitely keeps things interesting, I feel like, keeping the focus for Demonology on summoning as many different demons as possible, whether that's the Wild Imps with the Inner Demons talent, or the Dreadstalkers, the Bile Scourge Bombers, the Vile Fiend, even the Nether portal seems cool. And also the fact that these demons can be sacrificed at any moment to make things more powerful, like how Implosion is baseline, or the demonic consumption talents buffing the demonic tyrant, because warlocks have never really had a strong tie with their demons. They just summon them from the twisting nether to do their bedding. That's kind of Blizzard's reasoning as to why you can't name your warlocks pets. But anyways guys, that's the entire video. As I said, you can leave in the comments below on how you think Demonology Warlocks are looking in BFA. You can leave a like on this video for more videos like this, and sub to the channel. And I'll see you guys in the next video.